Hello, this is Victor at restoringmercedes.com. This video is for a local customer with a 1992 Mercedes 600 SEL, but this video also applies to throttle bodies. This video is about throttle body of the 92 600 SEL, but also this applies to V12 Mercedes made in 95, because throttle bodies will be same, because this particular unit was already replaced with the updated unit with updated motor. So even though the car is in 1992, throttle body was replaced based on some parts that I found inside throttle body. I can tell it was made around 98, and this motor is obviously made around 1998, but they phased into production. They were phased into production around circa 1995, 1994, late 94. So these are the motors you will find. The gear will be, it will have larger teeth, and internal gear will be plastic like this, whereas the older models will have metal gears, and those have different motors. They will not work here. Now, the reason I'm making this video is I want to show what I found in the motor, and what I did find is this motor was about to fail. So first thing is, when I spun the motor with my hands, I did hear clicking, a little bit of clicking. So it did not, it's like right now it spins nice and free. Okay, it was not when I opened it. It was sort of sticking. So I figured, okay, brushes might be sticking, and or the bearing might be sticking. So it wasn't the case. Actually, the case was with brushes, but for different reason. Anyway, if you look at the armature itself, the armature piece here, you will see it's pretty nice. It's nice and bright. You don't see no burnt spots on any of the windings, which is very good sign. The only problem that I've seen is the contact areas where brushes touch. They're completely blacked out. So even though the motor worked, I made it spin for like a whole day, and then it became more or less okay, normal, but black spots there, and that's not really the greatest thing to see. It's supposed to be, obviously it's not going to be shiny like this. This is new. They will have some black spots, but they're supposed to be grooved in spots, ideally, of course. So, and also where armature segments are over here, when they overlap, I did see, I don't know if I can show you here on the video, but if you look deep in there, I probably can't see it. A couple of areas where they overlapped, especially at the edge here. See, the brush holder is right directly in the middle of where brushes supposed to overlap with armature segments. Right exactly at this split, you will see some areas are darker. That makes me think that the brushes were not making good contact, and they would be overheating. And for that very reason, this motor would have not lasted long if I would have not opened it right now. See, here is much better. Over here, you do see some of the sort of burning in there. So that's not a good sign. Same over here. This is better. This is, yeah, that's a little bit kind of darker over there. So the camera, of course, cannot actually show you exactly what's happening, but to the naked eye it's visible. So I remove brushes. I'm going to take care of the armature contacts. Brushes themselves also give you a clue what's going on there. These two brushes here, they seem to be fine, but if you see a letter R and number 4, you see there's a little more deposits of graphite deposits on one of the brushes, and that is a telltale sign that there's soon to be a problem, because when there is a lot of graphite accumulation, the brush cannot move freely inside its holder. So the brush, when it sits in there, obviously it's supposed to be moving very freely. They still move, I don't know which is a C. That's a C. It says clear. So this brush was in there. So this is from this one. So they still move, but more and more graphite would accumulate, then the brush is gonna get stuck. Once it gets stuck, then you have more heat creating between the contacts because they start sparking. And then this actual holder is gonna melt. Once it melts, then basically there is no saving of the motor. These are non-existent motors. Let me show you another motor which has already failed. I just keep it just to show. So what happened here is, as you see, one brush was okay, but the other one is completely burnt. This part was totally separated. The motor itself is much darker, so you can tell that this motor on the left worked much hotter. It ran hotter because it was difficult for it to turn. The actual color of the steel segments here, this one is brighter, this one is darker. The actual windings are darker on the bottom motor here. Excuse me. So this is what happened. This brush completely got stuck. The motor wouldn't turn, and when I tried to remove it, it just broke right off. It was fused together with the holder, brush and the holder. So the armature is most likely okay. I can still use it for parts for some other motors, but obviously this motor is gone. So my point here is that this motor right here was just right timing for this motor to be overhauled. That's what I'm going to do. I'll fix that, and of course I'll take care of the brushes, because also that is also not a good sign. If you look at the brush, it's really flat, so that's also something to be taken care of. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just take care of the armature contacts. I'm gonna take care of holders. I'll take care of brushes, fix this motor, put it back in the car, and I mean back into the throttle body, and we'll be off, and we'll be all done with it. The other thing is, actually, I've seen just recently, as you see the magnet here, this is the body of the motor, and then you see the magnet deep in there. Recently, customer came with the 600 SL, and his magnet went up. This is his magnet. If you look how much the magnet is forward versus the other one, so his throttle body, for some reason, I don't know, this is weird, that the magnet pulled upwards. So it probably was very hot, and somehow it just managed to pull the magnet upwards instead of spinning the motor armature. It pulled the magnet up. It spun in there most likely. Let's assume see, it says magnet shifted up, just so I have reference on these motors. And if we look inside, they're pretty much about the same. If you see the manufacturing connection here, they're almost there, but you can see the left motor, the magnet retainers, they're off slightly. So I assume that they shifted a little bit and the magnet came up. So obviously this is bad. Again, everything should be done at the same time, at the right time rather. So this is a 1998 made throttle body. It's an updated throttle body from the dealer. Wires look good, everything seemed to be fine except for this motor. So give it another year or two and it would fail, and then you would need another throttle body for $5,000. So this motor is going to be fixed and is going to last for many more years. Alright, so this is basically all. This is a video for local customer in New Jersey with a 92 600 SEL that I'm working on his throttle bodies. And actually, let me just try to show the throttle body that it came from. Let me zoom it out. So here is the unit. I'm just gonna try to put it in here. I'm just gonna move these tiny pieces. As you can see, this was and is updated unit here. Okay, so if we zoom in, you see the wires are nice and colorful. Internally it's pretty nice, but because of the new design but older car, the connector is totally different. But the throttle body itself is pretty good. Well, I cleaned it off a little bit so you can obviously see it's much brighter. But this is the motor where it came from. And this is the newer style, found in 95 and some late 94s. But this one particularly was made for the 1992 to fit in 1992, because 92 and 93 600 SELs had these connectors. You cannot just take this throttle body, put it to the 95 model. All the throttle bodies you buy from the dealer or were bought from the dealer at that era, I mean for that era vehicles, I would say, they would have these motors, because this is the only design available for purchase. So, and all of these motors, they do fail. Sooner or later they do. So they have to be overhauled before they fail, because if they will fail, then throttle body becomes useless. These motors are not available for sale. They're not produced anymore. I tried to find them. I called Bosch manufacturing, motor manufacturing all the way in Germany. Found somebody who speaks English, and they said that this particular model is not made. So there was a batch of motors made for Mercedes. They did it, and that's about it. Now this motor is still good. The bearings are good. They spin fine. Both bearings still have some lubrication. Very nice. So this is a keeper. I'll fix it. It'll be fine. Alright, so this is basically all. This is Victor at three-storymercedes.com. Thank you for watching.